So you need to sow. Well, the time is to sow, which is now. Because when the day comes that the harvest is coming, we need to be ready to reap, not to sow. So the shaking time is going to prepare for this 144,000 to be sealed so that they can give the loud cry message to the world. The people of God will not be free from suffering, but while persecuted and distressed, while they endure privation and suffer for want of food, they will not be left to perish. Now, this might be a concept that you have never heard before, because we're always told that there's going to be a huge slaughter right at the end. There's going to be so much persecution, many people are going to be dying, all these things. But I encourage you to study that. When I studied this, now we don't have time to do an in-depth study on the timeline here according to when people will be martyred or not martyred. But I was asking the question, because this 144,000, they can't die because they're alive when Jesus comes. And they're sealed at the start of the Sunday law. So they're going through the whole Sunday law, giving the loud cry message, and then through the whole time of Jacob's trouble. So they can't die during that time. So I started to check a lot of the quotes that people were using to say that there's going to be all these martyrs. And I found out they were all in the book Last Day Events. And the titles were changed. They were changed from the dark ages of the 1260 years to the time at the end, when we're going to be giving the loud cry message. I encourage you to just take a look at that, because it matches perfectly with Daniel, with the three worthies. They told the king what? Our God will save us. They said, if he wouldn't, we would still not bow, but he will save us. They were sure that they wouldn't die. If the blood of Christ's faithful witnesses were shed at this time, it would not, like the blood of the martyrs, be a seed sown to yield the harvest for God. We can't be sowing seed of martyrs' blood when you're not going to reap the benefit of the harvest. God's people will have a deep sense of their shortcomings, and as they review their lives, their hopes will sink. But remembering the greatness of God's mercy and their own sincere repentance, they will plead his promises made through Christ to helpless, repenting sinners. Their faith will not fail because their prayers are not immediately answered. Sometimes we get too discouraged too quickly. We want an answer now. We want to say, God, are you going to answer this? I want it tomorrow. I want it today. I want it in 5 minutes. But sometimes it takes a long time for God to give us the answer. Or maybe he gave us the answer and we're just too stubborn to accept it. Their faith will not fail because their prayers are not immediately answered. They will lay hold of the strength of God as Jacob laid hold of the angel, and the language of their souls will be, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. Jacob's experience during that night of wrestling and anguish represents the trial through which the people of God must pass before Christ's second coming. This time of Jacob's trouble is not a time that they're going to be dying, because it says they'll be saved out of that time. The trouble here for God's people is a mental trouble. They're going to be mentally wrestling. We have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it, even to the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. when Christ shall cease his work as mediator in men's behalf, this time of trouble will begin. Then the case of every soul will have been decided, and there will be no atoning blood to cleanse from sin. The solemn announcement is made, he that is unjust, let him be unjust still, and he which is filthy, let him be filthy still, and he that is righteous, let him be righteous still, and he that is holy, let him be holy still. As Jacob was threatened with death by his angry brother, so the people of God will be in peril from the wicked. The righteous will cry to God day and night for deliverance. Satan had accused Jacob before the angels of God, claiming the right to destroy him because of his sin. He endeavored to force upon him a sense of guilt in order to discourage him and break his hold on God. When Jacob made supplication with tears, the heavenly messenger, in order to try his faith, also reminded him of his sin and endeavored to escape from him. But Jacob had learned that God is merciful. As he reviewed his life, he was driven almost to despair, but he held fast the angel, and with earnest, agonizing cries urged his petition until he prevailed. God would not suffer the wicked to destroy those who were expecting translation, and who would not bow to the decree of the beast or receive his mark. How can you give the loud cry message if you're dead? God needs people who are willing to die, but are alive to give the message. We're willing to give up life, fame, praise, everything for the message. And who would not bow to the decree of the beast or receive his mark. I saw that if the wicked were permitted to slay the saints, Satan and all his evil hosts and all who hate God would be gratified. And oh, what a triumph it would be for his satanic majesty to have power in the last closing struggle over those who had so long waited to behold him who they loved. Those who have mocked at the idea of the saints going up will witness the care of God for his people and behold their glorious deliverance.